you know, it's one of those things that it just isn't the right tool for the purpose that I chose it for. Welcome back to 5 9 Wrenches. And today we're going to talk about prepping the truck for primer, the tools that I'm using, and the results that I receive from those tools. As you can see, sanding the truck is a dirty, dusty mess. I'm wearing PPE. I have a mask, I have goggles, I'm wearing gloves. As I tap out my gloves, all that clear coat dust and all that base coat dust, that's floating around in the air. I'm outside, but I'm still wearing PPE. There's nothing good in that paint as you sand it. It could be full of heavy metals, all kinds of other pigments and things that will just cake up in your lungs as well. I can't stress enough how important personal protective equipment is. Take care of yourself so you can enjoy your truck at the end. So what I'm doing here is feeling for ridges in the paint where I've sanded. I'm trying to feather that cracked and flaking clear coat to where it's either good paint or good clear coat, just to give it a scuff. Any ridge that you can feel with your fingers will show up in the finish when you're done. So you want to make sure you knock down those ridges and have a nice smooth finish to apply your primer. This is the base for every other step in the process, and you want to make sure that it gets done right. So what you'll notice is I start with the sanding face, the face of the sanding pad directly on the surface and then tilt up to the edge. I found that if I start with the edge, then I get grooves. I'll dig in a groove into the paint. It'll take it right down to the primer real quick. So if you start with the pad face flat on the panel and then roll up to that first 1 inch from the edge, on the DA sander, it works much better and allows you to kind of have more control over how much paint surface you're taking off, and it helps feather the edges of that cracked clear coat and get you down to a nice smooth transition. Right here you can really see where I've got it tipped up on that first 1 inch of the edge of that pad, and kind of leaning into the ridges where the flaking and peeling clear coat is and getting that feather edge. So the bottom part of the bedside kind of wraps under the vehicle, and it's kind of hard to get down there with the DA sander without laying on the ground. So what I'll probably do is follow back with 220 grit sandpaper on a sanding block and maybe some red Scotch-Brite. I don't know why red Scotch-Brite, it's so hard to say, but red Scotch-Brite pad underneath there and just scuff that by hand. Again, it's too difficult to kind of roll around on the ground and get under there with a DA sander. Not something I wanted to do. And I'm telling you, the DA sander is really the business as far as this is concerned. It gives you a lot more control, gives you the ability to feather that edge like I was talking about earlier, covers a lot of surface in a very short amount of time. I think this was where I should have started to begin with. The conditioner, like I said, is great if you're trying to take things down to bare metal. That tool is really overkill for what I'm trying to do here, and this is really a much better process and much more conducive to getting things done in a timely manner. Anytime you see me pause and stare at the panel blankly, I'm questioning my life decisions at this point. It's a laborious process, but based on my wife's advice to chunk the project into manageable pieces, I'm taking it one panel at a time, finding my zen zone, and just getting after it.
So here are the tools that I'm using. I'm using the Hercules metal conditioner from Harbor Freight. It's a drum sander. It is perfect if you want to go down to bare metal in the fastest amount of time possible. It comes with a 40 grit, the black drum over there, and I want to say the yellow drum is 120, and then the red drum that's on the conditioner itself is a 220 grit, and it's kind of a softer drum. I will say, even with that softer drum, it will dig down to bare metal like nobody's business. So way to go if you're going to go to bare metal. Probably not the way to go if you're trying to feather and scuff and shoot over an existing paint job. So the drums on these conditioning tools are pretty easy to remove. There is a button on this side, like kind of like a grinder, where you have to find the hole and lock it. There we go. And then you loosen this. It's left-hand thread. This slides off, and there are these two woodruff keys that slide into the slots on either side here. I don't know if you can see that. They slide in here after you put the new drum on. So you take your new drum, you'll slide it on, you'll line up the grooves, and then you slide those two woodruff keys into place. Put your washer and your bolt back in, holding that button down to make sure the drum is locked. Give it a good tighten, and then you're in business. They also have a speed adjustment on the handle. It's right here. It goes from 1 all the way to 6. I found that 4 was probably sweet spot for kind of what I was trying to do. 3 down to 1 did not really, it didn't remove enough material. 4 kind of started being a little iffy. 5 or 6 was out of the question. I mean, it went straight to metal on those. So keep that in mind. The speed is relatively important as far as this tool is concerned, and the different sanding drums are concerned. You know, it's one of those things that it just isn't the right tool for the purpose. I have a pack of 3M Pro Grade sanding paper, 80, 120, and 220. I've been using 220 to hand sand because you can control it, and I want to get a good crosshatch pattern. I've been using these soft rubber sanding blocks to kind of go over things and create that crosshatch pattern. Use some maroon Scotch-Brite. I have an eraser wheel there for taking off the decal foam kind of glue thing that they had on the back of them. That stuff is tough as nails to get off. I try to kind of pull it off by hand. That's not happening. And then the old Central Pneumatic DA sander with some PSA stick-on sanding discs. Those are 320. I also have some 400. The 320 is what I'm using on the side of the truck to kind of feather things out and get a good tooth for primer. That works much quicker. That is the way to go as far as scuff and shoot is concerned in my book. I'm sure some other people have other tools and other methods, but that's really the way to go. So I started with the metal conditioner on the tailgate, and I will say that is a perfect tool if you want to hog down to bare metal. The highest drum that they had is 320, but they didn't have any 320, so I was kind of using 220 on a low speed. There was a Dodge decal here that I really kind of had to bear down on, and went immediately to metal. Stripped that decal right off and right to metal. So if you're wanting to go direct to metal, The metal conditioner is the thing to use. Ultimately, I think that I would just stick with the DA sander. The DA sander is the business. So control, the ability to feather out is better, and overall just a better experience. On the other side of the truck where it wasn't so bad, I sanded by hand. I don't know if you can see it here. That crosshatch pattern is perfect hand sanding, but man, it is a pain. I hate hand sanding, by the way, and I'm learning to not like sanding in general, but it's part of the bodywork process. So all in all, I'm super excited to get this thing in primer. That's a huge milestone for me. The other half of the truck still needs to be done, but this side again has a really good kind of gloss to it. And then up top, the hood and the front fenders have that peeling, chipping clear coat. But yeah, things are progressing pretty quickly now, and should have this in primer for the next video. Thanks again for following along. Please like and subscribe. As always, I'm glad to have you here on the journey, and I hope you stick with me to the end.